Hello, everyone. Well, I'm back. I was away for a little bit, trying to get things together. I had some issues I had to take care of, which I'm still taking care of. But I got a surprise guest tonight. My old partner and talk show host with me for, 15 years
Something
or more?
like that, yeah.
And I finally got him to come back. And hopefully it's going to be like a every 2-week thing. And if you think I'm crazy when I'm talking, get him riled and you got a show. So Eric Parnes is my co-host. Sometimes he's the host. How you been, man?
I've been very good.
I'm glad to see you back. Missed
I've
you.
been retired from I say I'm retired. I quit, retired December 15th. Physical therapy for 50 years.
50?
50.
Oh.
And now I play a lot of tennis, pickleball, bowling. I did racquetball, but I had some surgery, so we'll see if I ever get back into that. But no.
Yeah, weren't you gonna have a
surgery? Oh, my daughter got married, so that was nice. We had a nice wedding
Drew.
in Florida.
Drew.
So now
That's my email address. I hope you can read it.
Now we, I listen to the news all the time. I love Fox Business and Fox Friends and whatever.
Anything Fox.
But I don't have cable anymore. But I have Sirius XM radio, and I can hear it on the radio. And that's pretty much my, a lot of my day. That is a lot of reading, a lot of just trying to keep busy.
You were out playing tennis today, you told me.
I was. We had.
So you trying to end all that stuff that you can do?
This is what's called a summer league. So it's on Wednesdays, and it's a ladder. And there's 4 people. Whoever scores the most points goes up. The other one, the least, goes down. The 2 middle ones stay where they are. So this is my 3rd year doing it. So. And then, I mean, it was hot, but you stay hydrated like you're supposed to. And as long as you stay in good health, right?
I mean, it's, which isn't so easy to do for some people. Not meaning him either. Okay, so we got all kinds of stuff to talk about. We're going to be talking about the opening that they had for the community center.
Right.
There's news on the museum, which I wish somebody, well, first of all, I got to explain something. This setup right now, the way it goes is that nobody has cable anymore, as you're saying. So a lot of people that were used to Channel 25 would get it on the cable. You can't do that anymore. So what happens is this is still Channel 25, and the other surrounding New London towns can probably still get it if they have the cable hooked up. So what happens with this show is that we do the show, and then later tonight into tomorrow, it will be on YouTube. So you have to look it up on YouTube, and it's usually Dennis Downing, I forget exactly what it says, but you'll see it. And what I'm gonna try to do is have my email address come on the screen so that if you're watching it and you wanna make a comment about what we're talking about, good or bad, I mean, we can take criticism probably better than a lot of other people can, because we've probably heard almost all of it. Yeah. And if it's a topic that you really like and you wanna get on the show to talk about it, you send me an email, and then next week at this time, because it's going to be every Wednesday at 6 o'clock for now. Eric's going to be with me every 2 weeks, so I'll have another guest. Yeah, hopefully. And I got another guest coming on next week. So you can call in next week and talk about it, or if you don't want to talk about any of that, but you do see the show and you want to talk about something that's really pissing you off, then you can call the following week and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about anything.
Well, your email address is on.
Oh, okay. So it's
shown right now. If you want to call in, 860-445-7499.
But they're not.
But the other thing is that Dennis forgot. If it really pisses you off, something that you really want to say or anything, you can come on the show with Dennis.
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
definitely. And there's no holes barred. I mean, you can't dance on the table, obviously, because it's glass. But just about anything goes.
Much nicer studio than we used to have.
Yes, very much. And we got Drew on the controls, who's like the master.
The master.
So,
Start.
with that said, I don't know who saw on Facebook today, but there was a special thing on there about Waterford. Now, what's happening at Waterford is EB has bought the Macy building. As soon as I heard that, I went into this,
Tirade.
yeah, not so much a tirade, but it made me wonder, because these places like EB has probably the most outrageous abatement to come to New London. Anyways, I know they lowered the ultimate price of the place down a lot.
Yeah, it was 300 million. They got up to 30 million. New London tried to tax them on 300 million, and they said no way. And
Yeah.
New London, of course, lost because New London's run by idiots. But now what you're saying, it makes me think, oh, now we're getting a phone call. Hey,
Hello,
that's good.
you're on.
Hey, Drew.
No, this is Dennis.
Dennis?
Hey, Johnny, how are you?
Good.
We're live.
John?
Hey?
Now, I was just talking about the Coast Guard buying the Macy building at the mall.
Not the Coast Guard.
I mean, not the Coast Guard, the EB. Did you see that, John?
No, I'm watching you now, and you're like in an intro. You haven't even gotten around to it.
Oh,
Oh, no.
There's a time.
You're watching us on TV?
Yeah.
No kidding. How are you doing that?
Channel with Breezeline, it's channel 2002 if you've got cable.
Oh, do you have cable?
Still, yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay, so what happened is they bought Macy's. Now, I automatically, in my mind, went to Pfizer's. Their abatement, I don't know how long their tax abatement's for, but it's got to be getting close to the end of their tax abatement. So now, I'm thinking they're going to bail out of there, buy the whole friggin' mall, and if you think about it logically, it's a much better spot because they don't have to deal with the traffic.
They're not going to do that. You know they were down at Shaw's Cove one time before they moved over to New London.
Who was?
EB. They were in the same building on, I think it's the third floor, where the unemployment office used to be.
Oh.
I don't know how many people they had in.
Right, I remember, yes.
You know they're doing growth over in Groton, so I imagine it's only a matter of time before, just like Pfizer, the New London facility closes.
Right, and then the Macy's building is just as big as their building in downtown New London, or what is that area?
Well, Macy's is only one piece of the parcel out there. Sears is the other, and then the rest. That mall's divided into 3 parcels.
Right.
Okay, this is what I was thinking, John, is that they're going to end up buying the whole thing and move everything there, because if you think about it, the highway's right there, the traffic isn't going to be as bad as it is in London.
If Waterford Planning and Zoning gives them a go-ahead, that would have to be rezoned for them to move there as a business like that.
The old studio, the land there was supposed to be wetlands, and look what happened with Waterford.
I know.
So, I mean, money talks.
You guys would be talking about the community center.
Well, we're getting to that. I just wanted to bring this up real quick because I didn't know when you were going to call exactly.
Well, to listen to your there's a slight delay, so.
Right.
But okay, so I don't know. That's on my mind. I think that could really possibly happen, and it wouldn't surprise anybody in New London.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens and what type of deal Waterford cuts them.
Well, it's got
Waterford will take any deal to get electric boat. That's huge.
Well, they didn't want Amazon to go in there.
Yeah, but this is I don't know. Amazon wanted to go into the mall.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was one perspective possible. They wanted too much of a deal.
Well, the people who own
There's another thing
the mall, the Crystal Mall, have done absolutely nothing with the Crystal Mall.
They're
famous for that. All they do is buy property and buy malls and do nothing, sit on it.
But
All right, we can get back to that. Let's go to the community center. Eric and his wife went to the thing, or did you go, or just your wife?
We went to the opening, not the opening.
The soft opening?
Before it opened, we went to look at it, talked to somebody downtown. I was on Eugene O'Neill Drive, where they have their office. We talked to somebody, they explained the whole situation to us and showed us pictures. Now, we are big with pickleball, and they showed us a nice big gym. I could see where the basketball courts are going to be, and this is what they're looking at. I'm not even sure this is what's going to be showing. I mean, how it looks, because maybe it will, but because I haven't been there since.
That's what it's looking like. I took a ride by there.
That's what it's going to look like?
Yeah, I took a ride by there the other day.
Because it wasn't supposed to be
It's scheduled to open
brick and mortar
sometime in
building.
July,
Wait.
and I think the date they have for the soft opening or is going to be the same weekend as the quote-unquote downsized Sail Fest, July 12th.
Yeah, the down, right.
Yeah, that's
What did
right.
they tell you as far as membership fees?
Membership fees,
Oh, this is
all right.
good.
If you had signed up before, and I think they'll probably extend it the way things are going, but if it's signing up, they will waive the first year, which is $50. And then there's
Because they're saying 35, in the last article in the paper had it at 35 for 60 plus.
You're right, 60 plus. I was told it was. You're right, $35 for the first person, and then your spouse would be 25.
Well,
And you
I
still have
know
to
their
pay.
enrollment isn't going the way it should be, and here we are less than a month away, and there's been no information distributed about it as usual as far as New London communicating anything.
Right.
But I understand they're also going to be getting an administration or a processing fee like a gym would do. And what
You know
I'm
what,
telling
those
you
two
is that
fees-
is that membership fee all inclusive, or are you going to have to pay for classes and everything else?
Tell them about the
The
monthly.
membership fees are the fees I just said. Over seniors, $35 for one, $25 for your spouse. That's a month.
Yeah, I know. It's about what 600, over $600 a person almost.
Right. All right. So then, that's nice if that's what they're showing. Then the initial fee, the annual fee, is going to be something like $45, $50.
So what's it going to
and it's
cost?
gonna
What's
be
it going to
down-
cost a husband and wife?
Husband
A
and
year.
wife, a year. It's $60 a month.
Yeah.
So
So let me-
$720 a year.
What is my taxes paying for?
Yeah, good question.
That's a good question, because the other situation, it's different fees for kids. I think it's going to go maybe by income or something like that. I don't know.
How is Section 8 people going to afford
I
this?
don't know. I really don't know.
How are people on the north end that's living in projects and stuff going to afford this?
According to our mayor, it's no problem being able to commute or get to there, even though that Smart Ride goes away at the end of July.
Yeah, I know. I mean, so how are they going to get there? They have a bus thing now where you
Oh,
can
bus
call
thing?
them up and it'll pick you up.
I don't know how the people from the north end of town. How are they going to get down there?
I did read that
I don't
the
know.
mayor said that SEAT was going to reroute the Ocean Beach
Okay.
SEAT bus to go
Well,
through
that's,
there.
that's not his call. That's Southeast Rapid
Yes,
Transit.
yes, you're right. That's what he was proposing.
That's what he's proposing, and my guess would be they'll probably put a bus stop somewhere, maybe by EB. They're not going to drive into the community center.
Well,
Got to
that-
keep that route going because that 13 is one of the most used routes, other than the one that goes up to Fox.
Yeah, but it's nothing for them. It's nothing for them to drive in there and then turn around and continue their route because they kind of go right by it.
Well, it's going to be. I mean, according to him, it's it was placed equidistant that both the north and south side of the city can get to this location the same. That's what he stated in the last article I saw in the paper that had the scale then as far as
Say that again?
fees were going to be for the different age groups. They had seniors at 30, over 60 at 35, and then I forget what the other ones are because it doesn't pay any, I wasn't paying attention for groups that I don't care. But it's like, meanwhile, I don't know if maybe we should, I don't want to flip topics on you, but have you guys heard anything more about what's happened since the damage was done down at Ocean Beach? That went very quiet.
No, actually, we went down, me and the wife went down to the half-a-mile yard sale that they have down there, and they had it, they had the yellow caution tape up down. It's way down the end towards where they have the pavilion and all that. I didn't see any damage.
What did you?
And I went down there after it broke, the article broke April 14th in the day paper, 10 days after the whole thing happened on April 4th. They had the whole center section coned off, and they had the cones nailed down so they couldn't be moved, yet people were still walking down the center of the boardwalk.
Yeah, because I don't
She
think
wasn't on video. You probably would have never known who it was or what happened.
What happened to the person who caused that?
That's what I'm trying to find out. The story went very quiet.
Yeah, and
Just
what
like the story went quiet when the lady drove into the cement wall at the city council building by the steps. She crashed her car, and then all that's. So I don't know that's why I was curious. There's been nothing in the paper about it. I understand the cones are still down there. They probably won't get around to working on it till after season.
who's going to pay for it?
Well, that's the big thing too. The city's probably going to try to push it on Sodexo. The insurance company says they don't pretty much want, who knows? But the suppose is the city has a $100,000 deductible from what I heard. But my guess would be it'll happen this fall if they're not starting on it already. And unless they renew, which I doubt they're going to because they only gave them 3 seasons, next summer is Dave Chagrew's company's last year.
There are signs all over the beach, and I don't go there. I usually go there after the season so I can, just to walk. I don't need to go to the beach. But there are signs, no bicycles, no skateboards, no dogs, and people don't pay attention to that. They do it all, they don't care. They'll take bikes.
Well, from what I understand, this week with the heat being what it is, they're parking on Neptune Avenue and all over the place because the grass lot was filled.
Yeah, they had that closed off too a little while back.
What does it cost to get in there?
Without a pass during the week, I think it's like $20, $25, and then it's $40 or $50 on the weekend. They were charging $10 in April unless you were a New London resident, almost a month ahead of the May season.
$10 for what?
If you weren't a New London resident and you wanted to go to the beach in April, they were charging you $10 to get in.
I didn't even.
No, because I went down there a couple times. And it's a sign, New London resident, show proof of ID, out of residence, $10.
John, have you heard? Are they really going to do that to the company running the beach?
Do what?
They're going to end their contract?
They only gave them a 2.5-year renewal last year. So
what do they plan on doing? Who's going to run it?
Last year was their first season. This is in their middle, and they've got one more season unless something else is being discussed. My guess is they're going to have this same management company that's doing the community center run Ocean Beach because they've already made comparisons when they talked about their admission fees.
I didn't even think of that.
We're going to have a scaled system at the community center like they have admission scaling at Ocean Beach Park.
You know what this reminds me of?
They're worried about the beach losing $100,000. This goes back to the financials when they were supposed to break. I guess they were supposed to originally open in 2023, and back then they were going to be losing $700,000.
They expect the place to make money. We just went through almost 3 years of this COVID crap, and nobody was going to the beach. So how did they expect that beach to make money? And they hung in there. The company could have probably walked away after that.
If I was them, I would have walked away last season on May 23rd when they said we're only renewing your 5 or 10-year contract for 2.5 years. I would have said 1 week before Memorial Day, find somebody else to manage the beach.
This reminds me of the way the community center is going to be taken care of, where we pay a company to run it, and I don't know what we get out of it. I know they had the thing with the grants from the water department there. Viola, is that it?
Veolia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, that's the same deal. They had a company come in to take that over, and from what I understand is we get so much money from it, but any equipment that they need or pipes that they got to put in the ground or whatever, I heard, I don't know if it's true, but I heard the city has to pay for all materials. So the water department...
It'll probably be like the high school. They built the high school, and then they realized, oh, geez, we got to put furniture in the place?
Yeah.
They're expecting to what, do $2-3 million a year with the community center?
I don't think.
The salary alone, and this was back when this whole thing started, around 2018, 2019, projected for 2023, you were looking at almost $2 million in salary then.
Honestly,
We are,
John, I don't
but
see it.
Almost 5 years later, a month away from opening, and they've already projected that the first year will be a loss of $750,000. Yet they're worried about Ocean Beach losing $100K.
Yeah, my wife signed up for it, and she wants to see about it. I did not sign up for it because the only thing I could see me using would be pickleball once in a while and the pool. And
They don't really want you and me to. They're not looking forward to you and me signing up. Their projected revenue is coming from all other cities and towns rushing to use our community center.
why would anybody from outside our community
I don't know the logic.
want to go to
But all I'm
London?
telling you, in their revenue forecast, they did
Look,
no financials. They're forecasting that out-of-town revenue is going to help offset the cost for this place.
I don't think so.
Well, first of all, Waterford's got their own. The
Pool.
people don't pay for it.
Right.
They got their own community center, so why should they come here?
Right.
Other
East Lyme,
other towns.
Old Lyme, Groton have all done work on their places.
Yeah. So and as far
Norwich
as
doing something out their way. In fact, I think they're even redeveloping the YMCA that used to be out there.
so, John, this is what I'm thinking.
4 or 5. You may know, Eric, because your wife used to be a teacher. We have 4 or 5 schools in the area that go unutilized. Not to mention, we got a beautiful Olympic swimming pool that's only used seasonally.
Right.
It would have cost a lot less to encase that place and open it up in the winter.
Right.
You
Well,
got
ever
to-
since the gym pulled out, that whole building's been going unused.
yeah.
It's true.
And talk about worrying about the 13 rerouting. The 13 goes directly to Ocean Beach.
Yeah, I know.
People are able to go to the community center.
What does that tell you, John?
It tells you the same. We always know New London, just like they want to build another almost 100 apartments on 2 corners at State Street by the same developer.
State Street.
They-
Oh yeah. Wait a minute. Where on State Street?
High Tide bought the old church property that crumbled,
Yeah.
and now he bought the old AT&T building. He's trying to get permission to put an additional 2 stories on so he can put 40 apartments in.
The only thing New London knows how to do is build apartments. And
That's on Eugene O'Neill Drive, across from the parking lot's going to be apartments, right next to that Star Street.
yeah,
Well, yeah, the guy that bought the
Ron Cornish wanted to make into like an event center.
he was smart to sell it.
well, they sold the day
he got out
paper.
of town. He now runs Charlie's, the old Charlie's out in Niantic.
In Niantic. He's doing well.
John, when you said the telephone company on State Street, you're talking about across from where the church collapsed?
Yeah, the old.
Okay. Now I just heard. Wait a minute.
I think it was Frontier, and I think the day paper is now on the first floor because
Yes.
based on their grant,
That's right.
whatever they get, they have to have some physical presence in New London in order to get their money too. Otherwise, they would have picked up lock, stock, and barrel.
Oh yeah, that was in the contract from the original owner. But where the day used to be and the banks there, I mean, those buildings are so
I
beautiful.
also.
That's where the apartments and everything's going to go in there.
So that's where a hotel's going to be in, because according to this new developer, New London doesn't have a decent hotel. I get so much for the slap in the face to the hotel on Governor Winthrop Boulevard.
Really?
Plus, he wants to make Atlantic Street into a park.
Yeah. So when they make it into a park, what happens when the museum comes in and then they got to reroute all that traffic? Where's that going to go?
We'll probably fall into the thing like what's happening right now out at exit 74. They're on the 4th time doing that intersection. The lights aren't running that they put probably close to a year ago. They put new lights in by the railroad tracks at Governor Winthrop Boulevard. They never got Amtrak's approval, so that's what the delay is.
What, on the museum?
No, where you go into the ferry, there's all new traffic lights.
Yeah. Oh.
My understanding is they're not on yet.
No, they're not.
Because the article said that Amtrak hadn't approved it, so they spent $800,000 for nothing.
You know what? They were in such a hurry, and that's all COVID.
Not to mention we had the crayons we have up on the street welcoming me into New London.
Whose stupid idea was that?
The consul.
Probably the cultural district.
Do you know why?
It's the same thing that New London's been run by these idiots for so long because you have such stupid people in this town keep voting the same way.
They're not gonna
never
learn.
going to learn, And this is why New London will never change.
You know, things don't.
You know they're going to put a second roundabout in, right?
Yeah,
Over on William Street.
Williams Park.
But and the reason they put the one in by the high school because of safety. Well, just recently to stay within their budget, the school in their infinite wisdom is getting rid of 5 out of 6 crossing guards to save $50,000.
Whose stupid idea was not to let people come in on the Jefferson Avenue side to the high school?
I don't know. I'd like to know when Eugene O'Neill's going to go into the two-way street it was supposed to be when they made Bank Street one lane.
It's not going to happen.
And you know what? The people, you go down Bank Street, and before you turn onto Howard Street, the 2 left lanes, you're supposed to turn left. The second lane, which is the closest one to the right lane, there are people still going straight on that. You don't have a cop ticketing these people.
How many times have you come home down Willits by the funeral home on Ocean Avenue, and somebody's pass is on your left-hand side over the double yellow line because they need to go to left on Willits, even though it's a single lane?
Right.
There's no marking there saying left.
No,
There should be.
I don't want to get on how, because I happen to like the police force in New London.
Oh, I do too.
I wish somebody
Having a
would
coffee
stick
with
a cop
Wait a minute, calm down.
fire station.
Friday.
Stick a cop at the fire station downtown New London, and when on that left lane when you're supposed to turn left, you still have people going straight on Bank Street, and that's a hazard.
Oh, you should have seen it the other day. I'm coming home down Bank Street. I'm turning onto Howard Street, and there's this dump truck and this car in front of it, and they're just staying there, and come to realize that the guy in the car must have stopped short, and the dump truck rear-ended him, and now that whole place is like, pff, you were going to have supper delivered.
I mean, my wife keeps telling me, because how down I am on New London. I'm saying that New London is really a shithole. And she says, we live here. You can't say that. Yes, I can. The only decent area in New London is the South End, and people telling me slowly it's moving away from that. But
Now, see, that's the thing, too. South End, we're technically part of Groton, so we should be annexed and go to Groton and pay our taxes to Groton and see where that puts the city.
Yeah, that's true. No, what was I going to say?
We don't have representation as far as New London,
that's right.
but why should we be paying our taxes to New London?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I want to get over to the school system.
Okay. All right, John, you want to hang in there, or you want to listen and
You
call
guys,
back?
I mean, I don't care if you need to take other calls, I'll part.
Okay, well, we haven't gotten any yet.
Other calls?
The thing, well, there's a couple things with the school system. I had read where the superintendent, she's going to retire. Then she'll get her
Pension.
her pension, which, don't you have to work in New London a certain amount of time before you get a pension?
He did. I think it's like being a federal congressman. You only have to work 5 years in New London.
So you think she's been here 5 years?
Oh, yes.
They've
she's been
renewed
here
her
definitely
contract
5 years.
twice. They've paid for her education, or at least that was a proposal when she came aboard the first 2 years or whatever her contract was for. And just like the mayor, we've made her a millionaire too, so why shouldn't she leave?
Well, I think she wants to leave because shit's going to hit the fan, and she doesn't want that on her resume.
John.
That's what I think.
You know who's back in town? I saw him a couple Saturdays ago. Is Christopher Coulette.
Yeah, you mentioned in that.
What about Christopher Willett?
He's in town.
He's back in town.
What, he wants to take that job again? He did such a great job the first time?
He's already got a job. He's working with Learn.
Oh, God. This is the situation that I had heard. That New London Board of Education needs another $2 million. And Passero told them, you gave back $1.9 million of COVID money. So obviously you don't need the money that much, and he's flat funding the school board this year.
That's another thing, real quick. They went on this spending spree, $800,000 for signs, the crayons coming in, the flags on the ground, and all this other stuff, but yet they're cutting things that are important. And they're using COVID money, so they had to use it all by a certain time. But this has nothing to do with COVID.
They just got done forcing 15 people into early retirement.
Yeah.
A few of them public works.
So The school system's been flat funded this year, according to Passero. And supposedly, when taxes come out, we're supposed to have a little less taxes this year also because the South End got screwed.
Well, it depends on how you look at that, Eric, because true, it's going to go down 0.3 or roughly about $75 to $100 a year off your taxes.
Yeah.
But go take a look at your latest your water bill from about 6 months ago,
Right.
where your storm runoff,
Right.
standard sewage fee, and your standard water fee has all increased, and there's your $100 you're saving on taxes.
And I don't understand that either, considering this was supposed to be a test that all the other cities were supposed to have stormwater drain-off fees, and we're the only one. New London is
believe
the
Fairy tale,
dumbest
Fairy-
town.
The one that the state was going to help us pay for the magnet schools.
Oh, and guess what? What did all the other towns do after New London built the magnet school system? They built their own system. Yeah, there's no reason, and I don't care what anybody says, there is no reason to come to New London for an education. Because the education, maybe at the magnet school, high school, is good. The whole other school system is very bad. And anybody in their right mind coming to New London today with kids should not be putting their kids in the New London education
Getting back, was it
system.
Dennis? You said earlier about they want an addition, Eric, they need an additional $2 million. You know what that $2 million for is for that BP Learning Center that was grant funded.
Why are we paying for the BP Learning Center?
Whatever that, I don't know if I'm calling it, but it's the place that they opened new down there in Shaw's Cove. That's like the community outreach center or whatever.
Right.
They help as far as.
New London's got to stop this.
You don't
Oh,
stop.
well, what New London's got to do, if these developers like High Tide and other want to come, quit cutting them a deal at the taxpayer's expense.
Exactly.
Right.
Because I heard, the apartment building, the prefab they put up on Bank Street?
Bank Street.
Yeah, right next to
They put it in stages?
yeah, it was prefabbed.
It was a prefab. They brought it in stages. And the one thing they didn't do, they didn't include an elevator system, and they couldn't.
They got it now.
They have it now. They couldn't get a certificate of occupancy until they had the elevator put in.
But
The 5-story box down there by the Custom House.
Right.
yeah, and where Salvation Army, right next to Salvation Army.
The thing that definitely fits our historical skyline.
But you know what I heard is they got a tax abatement for 25 years.
But that's,
They got a tax abatement. The corner of Howard and Bank Street got a tax.
Oh, they all got them.
The one that went with Huey's, probably the one that's going. What's the name of the mills? There's a mills that they built. There's stuff that they built out by ShopRite. Probably got a deal.
Oh yeah, and they're gonna put
So
some.
I'm sure the guy that's got something to do with that church that crumbled, he's getting money from the state.
well, they were supposed to be paying.
And then in their infinite wisdom,
Yes.
the prior owners
again,
of
of
the
the
church,
city.
they allowed them to buy the church up the road for $1.
Right.
He took so well care of the last church and then left town.
Yeah.
John, I got a question for you. I read a piece in the paper, I don't know if it was Pastor that said it, somebody was saying that the reason they get people from outside of the city to work in our city is because they can't find any qualified people in this city. So if they're gonna get a new superintendent, do you honestly believe there's nobody in this city that can do that job? I mean, some of them teachers have been there, 40, 50 years.
Well, it's no different than the police department. Every
Same.
for a police chief or a deputy chief, we go outside New London. Yet for some reason, we're always able to promote from within with the fire department.
And every time they get a new superintendent of schools, they give them more money.
Well, how would you like to be a public works employee and you're basically capped as where you can go
Right.
because they always hire the director from outside?
Absolutely.
I don't understand the logic behind that. I think that the people in the city would be more supportive if they know the people that are running the city. You know, the first thing, wait a minute, John.
Because growing up when I worked for the highway department, the only way you got a job working for your local government, you had to live within the city limits.
Yeah.
That's in the charter.
That's in the charter, and nobody's ever
Whether you were
followed
a
it.
police officer, a fireman, public works, and it never was really had had to be written down because it was almost understood that you had such pride in your city, you were willing to live in the city that you worked.
And I bet you the crime rate was down a lot more when you had police living in the city.
Oh, everybody knew everybody. So
You know, the
I mean,
last-
the
wait a minute.
NIPT program didn't come about till about 2004.
You know, Eric's talking about police at the corner of such and such a street and all this, but do you remember what police chief did we have where you had cops on bikes downtown, you had cops walking downtown, you had,
Reinhardt,
who was it?
and it was about,
No, it wasn't Reinhardt.
yo,
It wasn't. It was the woman chief of police.
Oh, the one who was forced out.
Yeah.
she just continued the program that was in existence.
Oh, did she?
She wasn't the police chief in 2004, and I started going to council meetings, and there were cops on bicycles at night in 2004 downtown.
See, I didn't know that, but I always thought it was just the woman there. I can't remember.
Oh, she probably continued the program.
Yeah.
She's
And-
one of the few that kind of came in through the ranks, kind of within,
Yeah.
and go out of town to get her.
Yeah.
That's why there was a conflict with the first mayor.
So here's I want to jump on one more thing. Keep you on the phone for a minute here, and it has to do with the schools. The superintendent of schools has informed St. Joe's that they will no longer support a nurse for the school, and the people at St. Joe said, well, you know that's illegal. And she's basically saying, well, we can't afford it. You'll have to get the city to
You know how
cough
many
up the money.
I've heard that every time they've had school budget issues?
I know.
For years. If they do it, they do it. I mean,
But it's illegal.
I said earlier, they're going to get rid of 5 out of 6. They're concerned about the student safety, but we're going to get rid of 5 out of 6 crossing guards.
Why?
That's a lawsuit waiting to happen, I'm telling you. That's a lawsuit that's going to hit the schools, and it's going to hit the city. If some poor kid gets hurt, seriously.
They're not concerned about safety. Otherwise, they wouldn't allow the parents to park on Ocean Avenue to pick up their kids at Nathan Hale's.
Oh my, yes.
There's no parking anytime.
They don't care about anything outside of the immediate downtown. They don't. I see stuff going on in New London that never was going on before, and a lot of it's because there's new people living in this town. That's about as nice as I can be about it. And they're used to a whole different way of life, and they don't pay attention or they can't read. I mean, it says in the driver's ed book that you have to park so far away from a corner. But you find any of these cars parked so far away from a corner? No, they're right on the
They also
freaking
said
corner.
you can't be parked facing the wrong way.
So I don't know. When we were growing up, there was a nurse in the schools. There was
Yes.
a guidance counselor in the
Yeah.
schools. There was a principal and an assistant principal in the schools. And the kids, if you talked back when you got home, you got your ass kicked because the parents are going to believe the school before they believe
How many
you.
special aids did you have back then, too?
Special aids?
Person because they had to ride the bus because Bobby has a special need.
I don't remember any of that.
No. I don't remember. Well,
And
first of all, I didn't grow up here, but I don't
days
remember
when I was
anything
going to
in my
school, if I had to have my parents waiting for me to get off the bus, I never would have got off the bus.
Well, I know this crap about every other street or every street the bus has
We
to
used to
stop.
have located spots.
Yeah, I used to.
We had you're right, designated spots, and if you lived 2 or 3 blocks, you had to go to one. Why do these school buses have to stop almost at every corner, and it's a nuisance? I mean,
And then they got to wait till the kids sitting down, and mom and dad's got to wave goodbye.
and talk to the bus driver.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. But
mean,
you know what's really
home,
scary about
Go
that,
to work,
John?
it's a different story.
I was in back of a school bus the other day, and it was stopped on Ocean, and the kids were getting off the bus, and the kids were walking in front of the bus to go across the street from it, and this one girl was going to the back of the school bus to go across the street, and they all had their faces so far into that phone that if somebody ran that bus stop, they would have been dead. And you think the schools would tell these kids and the parents, look, you got to get your kids off these phones in a situation like this?
You need to be on Ocean Avenue going towards the beach when the cars picking up their kids are parked on the other side of the street, and the bus decides it has to get back to the school. And the only way the bus can get back to the school is got to cross over the double yellow line.
We need more police. We need people to start.
We need to start enforcing what we already have on the.
Exactly. And we need to take care of the rest of the city besides downtown. Downtown ain't producing nothing that I can see. They're not producing enough taxes to take care of the rest of the city.
What's the excuse now? Because the mall is pretty much defunct. The casinos are the casinos, but it used to be, downtown suffered because they built Crystal Mall. Well, Crystal Mall is pretty much history. Why is downtown? The last time downtown was thriving, we had a city manager.
That's right.
That's true. That's true.
Ever since we went to a mayor form of government, almost 16 years ago.
It's gone down. It's gotten worse.
I mean, that was the first time that the Coast Guard was a dream, was back during Finenzio's term. Here we are almost the same length of time as Fort Trumbull, and they still haven't completed the building.
So,
it's unfortunately, it's New London. It's the people of New London who don't give a crap about New London. All you want is handouts. You don't teach your kids right and wrong. You don't. Look how many parents open up the driver's side back door to let their kids in out of the
Fifth
car.
Avenue again.
So, I mean, a lot of these parents, they're not even well educated. So I would love to see what the city.
Well, I'll give him kudos because I really didn't think he'd be able to keep the school budget flat.
yeah, I'm surprised at that too, to be honest. I don't.
School buses what?
No, the
But the
school
typical
budget flat.
outpouring at the budget hearing meetings by students and everybody else saying, "Oh, we need more money. We need more money."
John, Passero is pissed that they gave back that 1.9 million COVID money. And if the council comes up with more money to the schools, he could just veto that. He said, no way is they getting it.
Yeah, but they can override his
We
veto.
said
we need
this
is
a long
on
time
the
ago,
state level.
John.
Hang on, guys.
Because if they were ever to do a forensics audit of both the school and the city, it'd be an eye-opener.
When's the last time the city had an
never
audit?
Get that.
They're audited every year. They get written up for the same infractions every year,
Yep.
and their excuse is we don't have enough personnel, and the state and whoever does the audits doesn't worry about it.
Well, they're
Well,
also
that was then.
overpaying their people.
Things could change now that we have somebody that's not
One
a
time they had
Democrat.
the idea that so they could have a complete financial picture, the Board of Ed and the council were supposed to meet and get together to discuss financial issues, but that I don't think has ever materialized.
Well, they got, there's a 5-year contract thing in the city. I don't know if it's ordinance, whatever the hell it is. And they just had a thing where they were trying to get more money, federal grant money, for housing. But this 5-year plan, it was supposed to be in when we have elections. It's supposed to be a question on the ballot. And that question also controls whether they're going to have money to abatement, whether they can do abatements. But nobody knows it. So to me, that means that we could vote out not giving out abatements. But they'll say we won't get any business. We don't have any more room for business.
What's the latest you guys have heard on the pedestrian bridge?
Oh, I haven't heard anything in a while.
Anything.
What
I know that. I know it's going to get.
have you heard? What have you heard,
Bill,
John?
but the last I heard, Lamont's wants to hold back the $20 million from the state till the museum's completed.
Definitely, I would definitely hold
Yeah.
it back when the museum was supposed to be completed already.
Look, so while we're on the topic of the museum, I have news. And these are one of these times when either you love Collins or you hate Collins. This is one of the things, I like what he's doing. And he's saying how the museum is having difficulty getting financial help to build it. Now, what was I going to say?
150K short, I think the audit.
Yeah, but there's, I think, a 4 or 6 panel of men that are running it. They're like the advisors or the financial guy, whatever they are. They're each getting paid over $100,000, and this is supposed to.
Over 15 years ago, when the original idea was to put the museum on a parcel of Fort Trumbull that was not taken by eminent domain, the Coast Guard administration, whoever does their finance, failed to file the paperwork in time, or the federal government would have been paying for the museum.
I heard they couldn't pay for a museum. It had to be through donations from the public.
Well, I know they were going to get a parcel down at Fort Trumbull probably close to 15 years ago, because it's 13 years now that they basically had the concept for where they're going now, and look where we are.
Okay, so the city of New London and the mayor and the council want the museum in there because of all the possibilities it could bring to downtown. Now they're spending money on flags. They're spending money on friggin' crayons, as you call them. The lights on Bank Street that will change colors. Whoopie friggin' do. And yet, instead of spending all of that money on that, we could be feeding people, we would be helping the homeless, and we could even be helping the friggin' museum.
About what you're just saying, Dennis, because the last forecast I saw, they projected that museum was going to bring what? 500,000, 700,000 visitors to the city. We can't take care of the 26,000 we have as residents.
Can you imagine what that place in front of the train station is going to look like if that many people came to the museum? Where the hell are they going to park?
Where are they going to stay?
Yeah.
Well, why did we lower the berm?
Why did we lower what?
The berm?
The parade. The parade plaza got lowered because they wanted people to be able to see up State Street to see our beautiful skyline. Now that Coast Guard museum goes in, you won't see squat.
Oh, they're gonna raise the ground level?
Oh,
That used to be all flat. I remember when that was all flat when I was living in New London.
It all opened up because they wanted to improve so you'd see up State Street when you came into our transportation
But
center.
you could back then. In the early 60s, you could. You drove down State Street, you went around by the train station, and you headed back up State Street. And it was all flat.
Back in the 20s, I have the pictures in this book. That statue that's at the end of Bank Street, that was sitting flat.
Yeah.
And it just went totally around. You could drive right around. And
On that, why are we the catch-all for every protest?
Oh, that's a good question.
Do you think those people protesting got permits to do that?
Well, that was one thing Finizio required, because I remember the big deal with the MLK parade.
Finizio's long gone. He's so far.
Exactly.
past
That was
Quickly, because I don't know. Let's touch on one other. I haven't been out that way. Has anything happened with the Martin Center new apartments?
Okay.
Martin Center. Oh, no. I heard he was going to. Okay, I heard that. I can't remember exactly what I heard. They were going to do something with it. I think he sold it and got a partner. He sold half of it to a partner or something.
So that's 7-8 years that he's had that, roughly. We've been giving him a break. Once we're already probably past the window where he's now billing us to be in the senior center, which we weren't paying for before. But once he took over that Martin Center, including the senior center, we would eventually be paying that developer so much for use of.
I think it was $50,000.
Didn't want to move the seniors to the community center.
There is so much that could be developed in New London that just sits empty and decrepit. And look, Passero is from what I understand, he's not running again, and the mayor election is next year.
I heard Nolan was going to try to run.
I hope no one runs that. It's not.
Oh, would you run if we already made you a multimillionaire after 3 terms?
No.
I'd be moving out of New London.
He's got 3 pensions coming to him. The other thing is, do you want Efrain Dominguez to be the mayor?
That's going to happen eventually.
Oh, it could be worse. We could end up with what New York City's going to get as a mayor.
Oh, well,
Okay,
that moron.
I gotta cut this short, guys, because we got like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
All right,
But
guys.
John, thank you very much for calling, man.
All right, we're going to hook up for coffee, guys.
All right,
All
take
right.
it easy.
So, folks, as you see, this was a New London night, and I hope people that still have cable will tell their friends about this show being back on. Eric, hopefully, will be with me every other week, and then I have someone coming next week, and then I'll be getting other people coming in. If anybody out there has a bitch or a gripe, and they want to talk about it on this show, Drew, if you could put my email back down on there, just drop me a line and we can work something out and get you on here. It's Wednesday, 6 to 7 for now. And just pass the word. I mean, anything goes. We didn't get to half the stuff I wanted to talk about, but it was a good show.
We never do.
No, we never
There's
do.
always so much
I bring
to
all this
talk
crap
about.
and I go home and I say, wait, did I talk about this? No, I don't remember talking about
And
this.
by the way, it's the end of January. Get ready to look for your tax bills because you're probably not going to be happy about it, but then whoever is, considering it's New London.
It wouldn't be so bad if you could see you were getting something from it.
I know, and we get trash pickup, which I appreciate those guys. Public Works does a hell of a job and does not get any.
No, they need more people.
They need more people.
If it wasn't for Public Works, the city would really be in the shits.
Yeah.
But they're the ones that are trying the best that they can to do with what they got.
And exactly what you said about.
And do you think the guy
spend
that's
too much time on downtown New London? I mean, look.
Yeah, the
50%.
district, the culture district is
Oh,
now.
and what crap is that? I mean,
It's a way to get money.
Nobody wants to come into this town if there is, especially visitors, and you can't shop anywhere in downtown New London.
You know, I've always
Think
said
about it. I don't shop in New London.
there's nothing to shop for.
No, there isn't. You've got
There's some good
restaurants,
there's some good restaurants.
some good restaurants, but State Street is a horror.
But this thing about the museum now, not coming when it's supposed to, and they all tore up. That's why the Sale Fest has changed.
I'm glad
There's going to be a
Sale
lot
Fest
of
is
people
not
that invested downtown that are going to say, hey, maybe this ain't worth it.
You know, Dennis, I did a show last week, Main Street, Old Saybrook, a festival like they do in Niantic.
You're talking about your,
Yeah, but it was more of like a street festival where it was a lot of food, beer places, you know, everything like that, and it's just so nice. They had their problems too. It was 1:30 to 6. It should have been from 11 to 6. They should have closed off the street long before they let us come in and set up. But otherwise, the festival is much nicer than anything New London does. They have the Main Street Festival in Niantic the week after, quote unquote, Sale Fest, and it's much nicer than anything New London does. Sale Fest is a joke. It just because you've got the fireworks or something, but it's all the same food stuff and everything. I mean, New London just does not do anything right.
They don't look at the overall picture of a decision. They don't, okay, you're going to build all these apartments. So what's that going to do for traffic? Oh, well, that's a good problem.
What should the lumber yard should have been on Howard Street?
I don't know.
That should have been a major supermarket. And they said they're going to put more buildings in there or apartments. We don't need any more. And what happens if
and they're going to put them down at.
If EB does take over Macy's and all that's gone, you think those people are going to stay in those apartments?
No, they're not.
All going to be
it's
empty.
a much better spot actually because it's right on the highway.
Right.
I mean, you look at the traffic mess in New London every time they get out or they come in. And there, you won't see that.
No, you won't see it. New London is.
And I don't think Waterford's going to bulk if they wanted to do that because that's some great tax money for them.
Absolutely.
All right, folks.
Wait till it comes up, I guess.
Yeah, I know. I just got it.
There it comes.
So stay tuned for more. Remember, this show is you can say and talk about anything you want. So pass the word.
Thank you for having me back.
Oh, well, now that you're a partner again.